Well, this is going to be my first video, I guess, the series that I want to call Veganism and Morality, where I kind of outline why I feel that veganism is a moralistic viewpoint. I myself, as a philosophy student, I'm adherent to objective morality, which is essentially morality that is universal. And I know some people have tried to argue with me, well, morals are subjective, what's right for one person isn't going to be right for another. And again, yes, that is subjective morality. That is something that we call, subjective relativism, where, a moral or yeah, it's just a moral. If it's right for one person, it's right, and essentially it's a fallacious view to have. So when someone will tell me, well, eating meat is not wrong, that is subjective. Same thing, it would be the same thing if someone were to tell me, well, homosexuality is wrong. Again, that's completely subjective, because naturally speaking, it's a naturally occurring thing. Psychologists and biologists will tell you that. Abortion, for example, someone will say, well, abortion is wrong. You can say that, and it's going to be subjective, but that's something reserved for what we call applied ethics, which deals with the controversial aspects of ethics. Again, one of the arguments that people tell me is that, well, we as humans are apex predators. We are the top of the food chain. And while that is primarily true because where we're situated in life, we are the most intelligent. We are intellectually superior. It doesn't make us, I guess, what you would call spiritually superior, because I'm also adherent to Jainism. Jains are most, if not all, at least 99.99% of what I know, are practitioners of vegetarianism. Not only that, but they practice something called ahimsa, which is essentially non-violence towards all living beings. And that to me seems like, I guess, an objective view to have, because I wouldn't want to cause harm to something that can actually feel pain and suffering, which is what animals do. They have nervous systems, they can feel pain. They're not emotionally deficient. They're not intellectually deficient to the point where they don't know what suffering is. They do. And another one of the things that I want to get back to is, of course, where people say, well, I'm the apex predator. And it would be true if this were 15,000 years ago, where people were still hunter-gatherers. People were still roaming the grasslands, hunting bisons with tools that they crafted themselves. Whereas now we have technology, we have guns, we have all these different things that can assist us vastly compared to just our own hands and handcrafted tools. Because for instance, obviously in America, you can get into your car, drive to McDonald's, drive to a Burger King, pick up your hamburger, go back home, sit on the couch and eat it, which is obviously something, and combined with a sedentary lifestyle, that has contributed to the 33% obesity that we have in this country. So if you were to tell me that you're an apex predator but you're obese, there's something wrong with that, because if you were to be put in the wild, especially let's say the Nile, where hippopotami and crocodiles can run upwards of 27 to 30 miles per hour, you are not going to be the apex predator. Where do I get that from as well is that the fact that this is from time, the average person in the industrialized world eats more than 176 pounds of meat annually, compared with around 66 pounds consumed by the average resident of the developing world. Again, essentially, with objective morality, and again going back to the core morality, one of the main tenets is do not kill innocent people, but not only that, do not cause unnecessary pain. And essentially, when people consume meat, they're contributing to that. They're causing unnecessary pain. They are killing what I feel to be innocent people. Or another one is, do not deprive another of his or her freedom. Where I'm going with this is not essentially just going to be completely exclusive to animals, but to others as well. I mean, we all know, well, not we all know, because a majority of people are ignorant, but livestock production is actually the #1 contributor to depletion of the ozone layer. For example, let's see. Okay. Again, from the Time article, producing all that meat will do more than just warm the world. It will also raise pressure on land resources. The FAO estimates that about 20% of the planet's pasture land has been degraded by grazing animals, and increased demand for meat means increased demand for animal feed. Okay, and aside from that, let's see. Going down here, well, this is also a video response to Brian Marcell's "Tell Us Why It's Ethical to Eat Meat" contest, where he tries to outline some arguments that aren't really substantiated. So let's see, this is one of his arguments.
According to their rules. Okay. Fertilizer for the fields that they're actually eating, and when a cow eats grass, the methane gas is significantly reduced. So you have that argument, but
He's talking about methane gas and something. If you were to switch from grain-fed to grass-fed, that it would effectively reduce methane emissions, and that's not true because cows just naturally emit methane as it is. But going to that, I mean, this man, I'm not trying to be, I'm really not gonna be saying that, well, he's not smart. It seems to me like he might be, but when it comes down to it, I'm gonna trust geophysicists a little bit more than this man. So with geophysicists, Gideon Shell and Pamela Martin have estimated that if every American reduced meat consumption by just 20%, the greenhouse gas savings would be the same as if we all switched from a normal sedan to a hybrid Prius. And that's upwards of, you know, what we would call 20 miles per gallon, you know, conventionally speaking, because most cars are estimated to be at an average around 25 miles a gallon. Hybrids 50, 45. Essentially that's a large increase. But not only that, let's see, when it comes down to deforestation, of course, deforestation, livestock now use 30% of the Earth's entire land surface, 30% of our land, and our Earth is 70% water. So there's that argument. Let's see what else. Let me see. So in terms of emissions, it turns out that carbon emitting vehicles, carbon emitting boats, anything that's used for transport, trains, makes up about 15%, because the 18% is actually from livestock production. So livestock production is actually it's contributing more to the depletion of our ozone layer than things like things like the Hummer, for example. And that to me is an unethical thing, because essentially we're causing harm to the one place that we know in our galaxy that can harbor life, as we know it, our life, animal life. So by causing harm to the planet that we all live on, that is to me an unethical position as well. And not only that, but because of deforestation, we're depriving and we're also killing. One of the main tenets of core morality: do not deprive a person of his or her freedom. And aside from do not depriving a person of his or her freedom, do not cause unnecessary pain. Well, you can try to explain that to, I don't know, the Kayapos or the Urarinas, people that live on the Amazon basin that are essentially being kicked out because companies like McDonald's want to go in, ravage the land, set up pastures for cows, and effectively contribute more to the depletion of the ozone layer. Not only that, but we already are starting to kick out these indigenous people that have lived for hundreds of years, if not more. Let me see, what else? A recent United Nations report concluded that a global shift toward a vegan diet is necessary to combat the worst effects of climate change, and the UN is not alone in its analysis. Researchers at the University of Chicago concluded that switching from a standard American diet to a vegan diet is more effective in the fight against climate change than switching from a standard American carb to a hybrid, again, something that I highlighted in the Time article. And a German study conducted in 2008 concluded that a meat eater's diet is responsible for more than 7 times as much greenhouse gas emissions as the vegan diets. Again, I don't believe in God, so essentially this really is the only place that I know of that we will ever live on. And contributing to the depletion of the ozone layer to me is an unethical thing to do, because we're killing off the one place that we live on. So let's see where else I'm going to go with this first part of veganism and morality. I guess I'll just conclude by saying again, the first tenet of core morality: do not kill innocent people. Do not kill innocent people. To me, animals are innocent beings, sentient beings capable of feeling pain and suffering. That's one of the main tenets of core morality. And again, this is completely objective and universal. So I'm not making any controversial remarks or subjective remarks. It's not something that could just be attributed to myself and myself only. Second one being, do not cause unnecessary pain. People can argue, well, animals are animals, people are people. It's still unnecessary pain, because one, it's unnecessary for animals. I mean, that's going to be, I guess, my subjective viewpoint. But it's also unnecessary for the people that are living on the Amazon basis. Not only that, but the earth itself, because we're contributing to that depletion. And do not deprive another of his or her freedom, essentially what we're doing to animals. And again, the Kayapos and the Urarinas, we are depriving them of their freedoms, because that is their land. That was initially their land, their place to be free. And that deprivation is a violation of universal morality. So far this is where I'm going to end the first part of my video.